So hello
Yeah.
everyone, welcome to the fourth call. Um, I'm just laughing because I didn't hit record before. And in this call, this session, what we're gonna do is we're gonna finalize the guidelines for whoever comes on. And otherwise you're gonna watch the recording, you're gonna see how I go through them with Paula here. And then I'm gonna use the extra time or the time at the end to go through some other cool stuff. So we'll just kind of see what timing we have. And if you are watching the recording and you're like, oh man, I don't know if my guidelines are going to be good or not, please know that you can send them to me and I will give you a bit of feedback on them. But the goal was to wordsmith them on this call. This is the bonus call because we kind of didn't get off to the right start. And so I wanted to make sure that we did this to make sure that there was enough time for everything. So here we go. Now, before we do this, Paula, what I'll get you to do is do you have 6 draft guidelines?
On the last call, I was able to take my 6 down to 3
Okay,
with your assistance.
cool.
So,
So can you just type into the chat room?
yeah.
Can you type those in? I'll mute you while you do that. And then I'll just share how Dynamic Year was live. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them into maybe Word and kind of do that piece together on there. Okay, so Dynamic Year, I just did the live version. There were 9 women there, and that was last week, and it was amazing. Oh my gosh, like the shifts, because we do it in such like sequential, in the moment, everyone is growing and kind of staying at that deep level. So there were, some tears shed and some major ahas, some major shifts that happened. And so if you're not feeling it in this kind of version, that is okay. That's totally fine. I know, Paula, you've been through the whole experience and you're getting this kind of deeper understanding, which is also extremely powerful. And so know that going live at the live event next year is a possibility for you, right? There's an opportunity for you. So I do have from 2 years, this year and the previous year, I just have some of the guideline cards from people. And no matter what, please send me your guidelines so that I can keep a copy of them. I do that because if, when you come into another program with me, then I can refer back to them. If you end up doing some one-on-one coaching with me, I've got them in your file so we can continue to tap into them. And if you're going to go into or for those of you who are doing the quarterly calls with me, then I will have them in front as well. Front and center, so that we can make sure that you're staying true to your guidelines, because that's the whole purpose of doing this, is to be able to carry them through the year. So as a reminder, I'm just going to pull up the things that you need when writing your guidelines. So this is going to be in module 3 on page 2, and I also have it in the booklet form. And in the booklet, let me just find the page number again. Okay, so in the booklet, page 19. And I'm just going to kind of review this piece first, even though, Paul, I know you're already there. I want to make sure everyone on the recording is where they need to be. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share this one. Here we go. So if we look at this, just a reminder here. We need to sift out the gold. So you currently have 6 wisdoms that are going to go into guidelines. And a reminder that these are the questions that we asked in order to get the wisdom from all the learning and the wisdom from all the accomplishments and disappointments. So if you haven't done that thoroughly, just pause the video and go through these, or go to page 17 from the book. So here, 3 steps to sift out the gold. We need to choose the wisdoms that we want to move forward with, because maybe not all of them are the ones that we want to use or that would be best served for us for 2020. Actually, what I might do is I'm going to pull up oh, there's Dawn. Hi, Dawn. welcome. I know that you're probably just a listen only today, but if you're not, if you can type in, what I'd love for you to do is type in your draft guidelines that you have right now so that I can help to wordsmith them. So if you want to type those in, oh, I can hear you. So you're unmuted right now, Dawn. Just a heads up. I heard you laugh. Okay, sorry. I'm going to get my live event materials. I'm going to grab the student version because I have the teacher version here. And I'm going to have it in a PDF because I think that'll be better to share. So stop sharing and I'm going to share this one now. Where is it? Dynamic Year booklet. Here we go. Okay. Because then this is exactly like yours. Mine wasn't in color. Okay. Here we go. So those questions, go through those, and then 3 ways to sift out the gold from the guidelines. You need to have your 6 draft guidelines and then move them into kind of the next step and then into the final 3. And so going through this is going to help you to know which guidelines to even start creating, which wisdoms to know. So first of all, which bits of wisdom showed up a lot or are easily transferable? So if there's a pattern there, then you probably need to learn this because it keeps showing itself to you. And if it's easily transferable, that means it'll go from one area of life to another area of life. So if you make something extremely, extremely detailed, for example, I do really well when I'm eating so like 1,500 calories per day and it's veg, like that's your wisdom. That is so specific to just that area of life. But if you made it a little bit more general, where it would be when I follow a strict plan and structure, I get great results. So that can still be about following a specific diet, but now it can be transferred to other areas of life. So you might have to change the wisdom so that when it moves forward, it's more general, can be easily transferable. Or if it just can't be transferred, it might not be the most powerful one for you. Another one is which ones did I learn the most from? So it might not be the like one that other people are like, oh my gosh, that's so powerful. It's what did you learn the most from? Which pieces of wisdom are you most proud of? So it might have been a really hard thing for you to do. It might be a really small thing, but if you're proud of it, that might be the one to choose. And which ones do you want to easily remember and implement? And then we are going to, at this point for Paula, she has already whittled them down from 6 to 3. If you haven't done that, this is what you'll need to do. You'll have to ask yourself these questions. Which one impacted my life the most? Because we're not going to have 6 guidelines, we're going to have 3. And then which 3 will have the biggest impact on the next 12 months? So for example, maybe there were some that I took away from like, in what year was my son born? 2014. So before he was born, maybe I was driven and doing all this stuff and so like focused on building the business and everything. And now I have a newborn and a toddler. So the wisdoms I learned about being driven and packing my schedule are not going to serve me in the following year with a newborn and a toddler. So you have to think which ones will actually help impact you. And if one of them is focused on something that you've done in the past but won't serve you moving forward, because it's so specific, then don't bring it forward. So you know what's coming up in the next 12 months and you know which ones will help you the best. And then which ones are new to me. So we even had this happen on Friday at the Dynamic Year Live event, that some of these things are like, and I'm petting my cat right now, if you're wondering what I'm doing with my arm. If they're new to you, then that's great. It might be something that actually will serve you. If there's things that you already know or you already kind of do, then that's not going to have as big of an impact in your life. Now, if it's something you need to know and you need to bring forward, just like you did last year, then that's okay. And so as I go through Paula's, and I'm going to check the chat room in a moment for Dawn's, please know what makes a good guideline. They need to be positive and empowering, clear and concise, memorable, and use dynamic verbs, or at least dynamic words that are alive, words that give you kind of that like power moving forward. So I will stop sharing. So this is what I mean by the wordsmithing. You're going to have the draft 6 here. And then the round 2, because you're going to reword them. What I found is a lot of people on Friday, their draft guidelines were super long. Like, I mean, 8 words, 10 words. You want to have them be 5 words or under. Really powerful ones can be 3 words. We actually made some that were 2 words. And then you'll write the final 3 in here and you'll commit to them. So that's kind of where we're going today. I'm going to stop sharing. Give my cat some cameo time. There you go. And then now she's gone. Okay. Let's pull these up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab, okay, Dawn. So Dawn gave me 6. So first what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get moving forward first with Dawn, because I want to help Dawn to be able to get them down to 3. So what I'm doing right now is I've just copied and pasted Dawn's, and I'm going to share in a Word document so that's easier for everyone to see and to kind of, for us to work through them. Is that okay with you, Dawn? Especially because you're not talking at this time. Just going to make some, minimize other things because I only have the one, I only want the one document to be in my vision, and I'm going to share. So Dawn says, yes, I have permission to do that. I always want to check, right? Okay. And just a reminder that confidentiality around everything that we do here, you know, the ladies that are on here, they get the bonus of having me work one-on-one with them in the moment. And you get the benefit of learning from that. And so just a reminder that in confidentiality for all of this. Okay, so Dawn has given 6 here. If we were to start looking at them and start to go through the different qualifications to the different ones, and I'm even going to pull up, actually I'm going to add yours to this as well, Paula, because then we can kind of see yours sitting here as well. So Dawn's are on the top and Paula's are on the bottom. And so with these, the first thing is, are they positive and empowering? When I listen to my needs, I succeed. Release the saboteur and let the fear go. Okay, so this one's positive and empowering. Release the saboteur and let the fear go. So saboteur is not that you're speaking negatively, but the saboteur can evoke a negative emotion. So instead of releasing the saboteur, is there a flip side of this? Is there, like, instead of, like, what will that do to be on the other side? Do you need to focus on something else? Do you need to look to something else? Do you need to listen to something else? So I'm going to let you kind of type that in, Dawn, as I continue on. And Paul, if you have an idea, feel free to speak up as well. Focus on the positive. Okay, there we go. Release the saboteur. So instead, we can flip it to the positive, which is focus on the positive. Focus on the positive, let the fear go. So rather than letting the fear go, which seems kind of passive, and you can do one of 2 things. Fear, we found on Friday with one of the ladies, fear was a key word that she wanted in here. And at the end of the day, guidelines are yours. I'm just here to support you in making them. And so you might really want that word fear to stay there. And you maybe use a more dynamic, rather than let the fear go, maybe it's stomp on fear, speed past fear, ignore fear, trample fear, let fear be your friend. Like, there might be a positive way to bring fear in, but have more power and more kind of getting over it or through it. So Dawn, you think about that right now. And another way to do it would be just to focus on the first piece. So release the saboteur and let the fear go. We could just focus on the first piece, which now is focus on the positive. And Dawn has just also said overcome obstacles. So if I just did this, so this is how you would go from like draft to second writing up. Focus on the positive and let the fear go. Then, so Dawn said overcome obstacles. So again, obstacles is a negative word. And so if I said to you, focus, don't picture a purple elephant, right? Your mind goes to picture it and then you have to erase it. And so Dawn says, damn. And that's why wordsmithing is so important. If if overcoming obstacles or getting over fear is going to be a fuel or a motivator for you, then that's okay. But what I'm encouraging you to do is flip it into something that is more positive. And so, Paula, I see you have fear as an opportunity. And so you're liking that word there. And I know that there, and I won't say who did what. I'll just, I just feel like there was one woman that had fear. I don't remember if we kept it or flipped it. Of course, it's the last one. So hers was facing fear fashions growth. Facing fear fashions growth. So she did use the word fear. And so I will let that, for both of you, Paula and Dawn, I will let that be completely up to you how you want it to be. Okay, so and Paula will kind of, so Paula says, this guideline makes me feel powerful. Yeah. And so you've pivoted the word fear by reframing it as an opportunity. Okay, so you can make the decision here. So all I'll do for Dawn, so that she can kind of continue to see this, and you can as well, is I'll just kind of put this in here that she has overcome obstacles as an alternative to let the fear go. So let's keep going down and let's see, are these positive and empowering? When I reach out, I can maintain connections. Good. Acknowledge learning and change my actions. Release what does not serve me. Take on less so I can enjoy the moments around me. So here, this is a very direct order. Take on less. That could be seen as, not as positive. But if this is speaking specifically to what you're wanting to change, Dawn, then this will have a positive impact. And maybe the key thing is just here. Enjoy the moments. So maybe you already know that the background info here is the only way you enjoy the moments is if you take on less. Or maybe you flip take on less to focus on priorities. So I'm going to, because you're not talking, I'm going to let you type in what you think there. Let's look at these for positive and empowering. Forward momentum creates confidence. Fear is an opportunity. So we just talked about that one already. And deconstruction leads to achievement. So again, deconstruction, is that a positive word? Is that an empowering word? And so for Paula, you can jump on, you can talk. What do you think? Deconstruction, positive for you?
It is positive for me because it's about chunking things down. So in the way I look at deconstruction, as opposed to destruction, two different words. Yeah. I look at deconstruction as taking what it is that I need to do apart to build my plan for achievement.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, I feel like someone else had a similar thing to you here. And so just some other options here. Someone else is just small steps. Just a reminder, small steps. Different ones around scheduling. Daily actions promote positivity. Okay. So the first piece was, are they positive and empowering? And so we're kind of at this place where it's a decision that you have to make. I've already kind of picked out the potential negative pieces. The next is, are they clear and concise? So, and just to kind of go back to Dawn is saying she enjoy the moments. She likes that. So this piece, if we go round 2, if we go to just this, enjoy the moments could be the guideline. So you see how that's much more concise than that. Even though it's like, yeah, but the way I do the enjoy the moments is I take on less and well, you know that. And so if you know that, then you just need this piece. Other people won't fully understand what you're doing. For example, there's some random ones in here. Balance my boat. Like, do you understand what that means? No, it doesn't matter. It's that person's guideline. Okay, so let's look at it and see, are these clear and concise? When I listen to my needs, I succeed. Okay, so again, can we cut this down? Listen to my needs. Or listen to my needs for success. Here, focus on the positive and let the fear go. Is the key thing just focus on the positive? When I reach out, I can maintain connections. So how about reach out for connections? How about something like that? To make it, oops, not cross it out. To make it shorter, reach out for connections. Now, if you wanted to reach out to maintain connections, that could be, it's a little bit longer, not so concise. Acknowledge learning and change my actions. So what's most important here? Is it to acknowledge the learning or is it to change your actions? Dawn, I'll let you say that and type it in. And as she does that, I'll just go back and she's saying, enjoy the moments. Okay, yeah, she likes that. Listen to my needs. She's good with that. And reach out for connections. And it might be reach out to build connections, or reaching out maintains connections. That's another option. Reaching out maintains. I'm just trying to think of like, how can we cut out a bunch of these extra words so that it's easy to remember, it's clear and concise. So Dawn just said, acknowledge and change. So this can be an acknowledge what's happening, acknowledge the learning, acknowledge the growth, acknowledge the mistakes, acknowledge the achievements, acknowledge all that stuff, and then change. So the key thing is you have to acknowledge and then change. Or is it acknowledging leads to change? Or change from acknowledgements? So you can play with it by changing the middle word, by flipping. There's a lot of different things you can do here with it. And then here, release what does not serve me. So it could actually just be release. That actually might be your theme for the year, Dawn. Your theme for the year might be release. Maybe. Right? Let go of fear. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of saying that. So she likes that for the theme. So sometimes a theme, your word for the year, comes from doing this activity. But Dawn, I have to ask you, because I haven't gone through every little thing with you. And what started to happen when we did it the live day is that as the day went on, certain words, certain things, certain themes kept coming up. Some people's intention for the day, like a couple people, they had one around like loving themselves and being gentle with themselves during the day. That was their intention. And that became their theme for the whole year, just their intention for the day. So that's where it can come from. So these could potentially now be the underlying pieces. Listen to my needs, focus on the positive, reaching out maintains connections, acknowledge and change, release, and enjoy the moments. Those could be the 6 guidelines now. So Dawn, what I'd love for you to do is look at those 6 and, thinking back to how do you choose which ones to move forward with. And last thing, and then I'm going to go to Paula's. Are these memorable? And are these using dynamic verbs? We've kind of already spruced up the words, but maybe instead of the word enjoy, you go to a thesaurus, and maybe instead of enjoy, it's delight, relish, like relish in the moments, enjoy the moments, eat up the moments, dance in the moments. So there might be another word for you here that would make it more alive, more memorable, more exciting. Like listen to some of these that are kind of different. Fuel the fun. I'm just trying to find the kind of special ones that are a bit different. That balance my boat one. Trust stillness. Cultivate passion. So using these kind of stronger words. Harvest my net. Now that it's been since Friday, I actually can't fully remember what that meant, but for that person, it's so powerful. I remember they were just like loving it. Also, another one called Set Up My Single, which I think is a tennis kind of thing, lingo. But for them, it was so powerful. Yeah, so just kind of, I'll let you, Dawn, just kind of go through those and be thinking, are there any words in there that you want to tweak? And so thinking now, after that, you've got 6, you got to bring it down to 3. So you might bring it down to 3 because release now becomes your theme of the year. So now you've got 5. Then you ask what will move you forward, what will make the biggest impact on the next year, and which ones are new to you. So you get to kind of work through that while I go to Paula's. So Paula, with yours, clear and concise, memorable, and using dynamic verbs. So forward momentum creates confidence. Can we make that any more clear, any more concise? You can come on and talk.
I mean, it could be momentum creates confidence as opposed to forward.
So is forward kind of redundant? Does it just mean, momentum just mean forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's implied, right? Momentum generally isn't backwards. That's sliding.
Yeah. And so this is where sometimes with people, I will challenge them on words. And sometimes I just get curious, like, do you need it? Do you want it? How do you feel here?
Yeah, I think momentum creates confidence really is the crux of it's about building my confidence.
Yeah.
I'm at a tipping point this year, and I need to build the confidence to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So that is going to be a powerful one for you. We're going to go through the other 2. I just see Dawn has typed in release, acknowledge and change, and connection. So I'm just going to encourage you, Dawn, release and connection are 1-word guidelines. And usually guidelines have at least 2 words so that we know a little bit more about them. Now, I did say here, I did just release, but that was more as a theme. And so let's try to have, where's your connection? So reaching out maintains connection, or reaching out for connections. So just try to add a little bit more. Another thing that can be possible is using values. I don't think we've done values work, Dawn. But what I did say on the live event is if anyone wants to do values work, because there's values for you, and then there's values for the year that you want to focus on. And so connection is actually a value that you could use. And so the reason why I share this is because you might be like having 4 or 5 guidelines, but this gives you an opportunity to slide release into your theme, to take connection into a value, and then to still grab 3 of the guidelines. So, and I'm sharing more of this because this is where I go with it. Like I have a 1-page, which if you would like, I'm happy to share with you. A 1-page where I put my guidelines, my goals, my theme, my paradigm, my values. It's all on 1 page. And because Paul and Dawn, you are so engaged with the program, I'm guessing that would be nice for you to have that. So I'll send that to you. And there is a section for values. And a lot of times people will just say, oh, my values are honesty and integrity. And they'll just like pull them out of their butt. What society seems like values are good. But there's actually a process to which I take people through that helps you uncover your true values. And so when I do this with clients, it's considered like a regular session, but I'm happy to do this at a third of the investment, which would be just $97. So for anyone who wants me to take them through this and to help them to find their values, their personal values that they'll go through life with, that you'll have, the benefit of this is when you're dishonoring values, you'll feel off. And so when you feel off, you'll be like, I feel off and I don't know why. But then when you pivot to your values and you go, or this person's ticking me off. Why? They're dishonoring these values. Or I'm not feeling like so jazzed about life right now, because you're not honoring values. It's not that you're dishonoring, you don't have a chance to actually honor them. And so you'll feel off. And when one door closes in your life, for example, when I was kind of forced to stop playing rugby because I tore my ACL, that whole year after, I wasn't allowed to run for 6 months and play sports for a year. The longest before that I'd ever gone without playing sport was 2 weeks. So that was like, who am I and all this, and all my values I could not honor that I was honoring fully in that area of life. I had to learn what they were, and I had to pivot. I fell into a deep depression, and thankfully through coaching and through values, I was able to actually pull that out and focus it in another area of life. So anyway, for anyone who wants that, you just reach out to me. I will honor that 97 pricing for the next 2 weeks or something, just to book it and say you want it. Dawn's already good. Dawn's already added more words to it. So those look good. I'm going to finish up with Paula here, and then we'll come back to you, Dawn. So fear is an opportunity. I almost feel like it needs this. Fear is an opportunity. Yeah. So this is a really great reframe of the perspective that fear is terrible. Now fear is an opportunity. Cool. Moving forward. So is this memorable for you, Paula?
Yeah, that's my favorite, because I do feel powerful. And it does. It just, you're right, reframes it.
And so one word for one person that came up with the Facing Fear Fashions growth, fear was their big pattern all day. Being fearless and fear and fearful, and just the word fear kept coming up. And so their theme is around being fearless. So that was pretty cool. And the last, sorry, Paula?
Nope, I didn't say anything, sorry.
Oh, did Dawn say something?
I think I just unmuted and maybe it just tings back.
Oh, okay. And then last one, deconstruction leads to achievement. So can we make this any more concise? I think we're going to lose the meaning.
Without losing the meaning. Like, deconstruction is achievement.
So in this case, you probably need all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
The only way I'd maybe wordsmith it would be deconstruct first, if that is the first thing that you need to do. But I think the reminder here is that this is the payoff.
Mm-hmm.
So here, listen to my need. When I listen to my needs, I succeed. If Dawn has to really remember this piece, then she needs to have that in there. But if the key thing is just listen to my needs, and she doesn't have to be reminded that this is the benefit of it. And this is, because I feel like when you say, when I listen to my needs, I succeed, or even listen to my needs to succeed, it gets wordy, where you want to almost think of it like someone comes up, like someone who loves you, cares for you deeply, taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, Dawn, listen to your needs, rather than listen to your needs to succeed. It just becomes too much. And as we see, Dawn has finalized listen to my needs, and I will just highlight acknowledge and change so that we can see the guidelines here, and create connection. Cool. Awesome. So congratulations to Paula and Dawn. You have your guidelines. Yay, that's awesome. Okay, so it is a little bit of a process that we go through. And so I hope that for those of you watching the recording that you're going to kind of take the time to go through and to ask yourself some of the questions that I asked, like, is that necessary? Do you need that? Is it positive? Is it empowering? Can you use a more dynamic verb? Can you make it even more clear and concise? Anything else you can do to make it more memorable? Okay. And that will take you where you need to be to get the guidelines done. Now, in the time that we have, I'm going to stop the share. In the time that we have, would you like to, Paula and Dawn, you can speak for everyone, would you like to spend a little bit of time on paradigm and such? New paradigm theme, these kind of things? Yes, please, says Paula. Okay, so I only needed one single vote. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye. And Dawn says yes, too. Okay. Did we talk about Wheel of Life? I know I gave it to you, Paula. Where are we at with that?
Oh, I did it. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Thank you. Yeah.
You are so welcome. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend, rather than say I'm only going to teach you paradigm or I'm only going to teach you one or the other, I'm going to kind of, if it works for you, I'm going to give you a play-by-play of what you can now go and do and little tips around each one. And then you're going to take kind of the next, whatever, 15 minutes or so of this, and you're going to pause it after each thing and then go do what I've suggested. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know you guys are capable. And I'm just also watching my power. I left my power cord downstairs. I was going to do it downstairs, but the lighting was terrible. So I flew back up here. I might have to go get my cord. So what I suggest is that everyone get the booklet out. I'm just finding which one is the booklet. There we go. And I'm going to share that screen. I trust that Paula and Dawn, you know what your guidelines are. And not that booklet. Here we go. Okay, share this one. Okay, so when you have those 3 guidelines, you're going to write them in there. You're going to sign it, put your name in, all that, and know that you are committing to these guidelines. And please remember, these guidelines are only good for 2020. Then they expire and you need to create new ones. Why? Because you've already learned the lessons from these guidelines. You've already applied them for the year, but only if you make them living. So I encourage you, take a Post-it card, like a little like cue card, or make your own, or a piece of paper, or a postcard, or a card, something. Write them on here, keep them front and center, and I will in a couple days send you an email with 5 ways to make your guidelines work for you. Okay, so you're going to have that, but first thing is you just need to actually make them. Good. So Wheel of Life, if you haven't yet, you're going to score this based on 0 to 10, 10 being most satisfied, 0 being not satisfied. To help you make your goals in life, I encourage you to first do where you're currently at. So this is goal setting, is my little title here, goal setting. 0 to 10, score yourself right now. Then score yourself for the end of like December 31st, 2020, and where you want to be at the end of the year. Not where you realistically will be, but where do you ideally want to be in your satisfaction? Remember, not your success, in your satisfaction. Mm-hmm. And so maybe your career, or actually I'll do it over here because the numbers are close. Physical environment, maybe right now it's at a 5 and you want it to be at a 7. Okay. Don't go into, well, I don't know how to make it a 7. I don't know what that'll look like. It doesn't matter. Just pick a number, that kind of gut decision. What is that like? So when I do this, I like to do the first kind of wheel in like black or blue pen or something. And then when I get out to the next piece, the next, like the ideal, I like to grab like a colorful highlighter or a pretty marker or pen, just to be like, oh, this is the ideal. And make sure you actually, make the lines match. So if I pick 7 here and a 6 here, I'm going to connect all these little lines so it actually makes a circle. So if you follow you can see my pointer, yeah, my little mouse on here. Paula, can you? Yeah, okay. So you see how I'm like going around and I'm like actually going to connect. So that's what you're going to do. Then if you don't know the areas of life, what they mean, this is what they are. And remember, family and friends, you can cut that piece of pie as if you're going to share it, cut it in half, and you can cut personal development in half to include spiritual. This is for highlights of next year. So based on that higher number, I want you to imagine that we're connecting. And I'm seeing you, Paula, and Dawn on the 31st of December. And I say, what was the best thing about last year? And you're going to say, oh my goodness, this and this and this and this. So we've got like what, 8 things in here. So on page 24, you're going to go through and you're going to write in the highlights. Okay. So whatever those highlights were for you, it could be went on that trip I wanted to go on. I've got 5 best friends. I'm fitting into those pants that my goal weight pants. I got a new couch, whatever it is. Highlights, high things for you. And on the little lefty box thing here, you can write whatever you want about the area of life. Okay, Dawn's got to run. Yes, watch the video. She says, thank you so much for your help. You are so appreciated. You are welcome, Dawn. And know we have our Dynamic You Momentum Call Thursday night. So that's for all the graduates of Dynamic You are welcome to join that program. So Dawn, I'll see you there and we'll get to talk, which will be awesome. Okay, so this little box here is just to write the area of life so that you know where it is from, okay? So you're writing to what's the ideal. That's where the highlights are coming from. Okay, write the fun stuff. This is the dream big area. So that's that page. And remember this quote from someone you might know. Just because you haven't in the past doesn't mean you can't now. It's your choice to rewrite the story. So don't limit your highlights. Okay. Then when you're done the highlights and really like dream big, maybe put a timer on for 10 minutes and make sure you like dream big about those things. And good questions to ask yourself is like, oh, I put my health at a 9 and now it's at a 5. So what does a 9 look like? What am I doing? Who am I being? How am I feeling? Like what's possible now that I'm at a 9? And it might just be like in finances, it might just be like paid off all my bills, or it could be like bought that yacht I wanted, right? Both are amazing. And then here, moving forward with your goals, this is a place to be able to, for each area, really go detailed. So now that we're coming back to reality, what does that 9 in career look like? What does that 7 in money look like? And what you'll find is health has actually 2 areas here. You do not have to do health twice. That was just a mistake. And then there's an other category. And if some of the categories don't speak to you, like you're like, I don't have a significant other and I'm totally okay with that. And I don't have any goals around that, then leave it blank. And maybe the friends and fun and recreation categories will have more, and that's fine. So that's kind of how you do your goal setting. Now that you've learned a lot from last year, you might actually have things come up that you're like, oh, I had so much disappointment and regret about that, and I want to make that better this year. And so now you pop it in as one of your goals. In the end, take your highlighter or make a star or do something special. You're going to pick 3, either of the highlights or 3 of the things from this page from 26. 3 things that must happen in 2020. Otherwise, you're going to feel like the year sucked. So the 3 things that you for sure 150% are committing to. If you're not going to commit to them, don't pick them. And don't be like, oh my gosh, I'm picking 10 because there's just so many things. What you'll do is you pick 3. When you've satisfied those 3, you're going to pick more. Or you're going to do those 3 all year, but trust me, you're probably still going to accomplish the other things. But if you pick the 3 that matter most to you, then you will actually create a plan to make those happen. Or so I hope you will create a plan to make those happen. And if you are on the quarterly calls with me, I'm going to ask you for the sheet that has your goals on it, that has your guidelines, that has your theme, has your paradigm. And in that, you're going to be able to check in with me, and I'm going to keep you accountable on those 4 calls for the what's happening in that. And for those of you who are like, but I didn't get that package because I did the online thing and I choose general admission. There will be an email coming out, but there is a way for you to upgrade. And it's actually a discounted upgrade because you weren't at the live event. And so I take out the piece of having lunch and having all that extra. So for $197, I think it's $197 or $199, you can get the 4 group calls over the year. So if you really want to like put this into practice, then I encourage you to get on those calls with me and the other ladies. Okay, cool. So that's goal setting. Now, limiting beliefs. This is where, Paula, I'm going to have you come up with some limiting beliefs on your own for a minute while I grab the power cord, because I probably will go just beyond 1 o'clock here, just all of this info. So when you go through this is for those of you watching the recording, I encourage you to grab a friend, to grab someone, and on page 24, tell them the highlights. As you read the highlights out loud, or even as you are writing them down, and as you're writing everything on page 26, limiting beliefs will just magically appear. Like you'll write down, restore my relationship with my brother. And then in your head, you're going to hear, yeah, but he's been such a jerk lately. How's that going to happen? There's a limiting belief. You are going to write it down in here. Okay, so you maybe write something else. Like fun and recreation. I'm going to take that trip to Vegas I've wanted to take. And then your mind says what? Your mind says, I don't have the money. When's that going to happen? Who would go with me? People probably say no because they're busy. Money wise, right? You write down, I'm going to pay off all my credit card debt. And then you're like, oh, but now I need to call clients, or I need to make this happen. So all these limiting beliefs come up, and they might sound positive. Like you put something really great on there, and then the positive thing is, oh, but you know, you're so busy. Maybe you just need to rest rather than fulfilling that goal. So that's another limiting belief. Or maybe you hear something that you were taught as a child, like money doesn't grow on trees. If what is that? Money will change you. And there might be other limiting beliefs. So at this point, I'm going to give Paula a minute to just kind of write down some of these limiting beliefs. The reason why we're doing this is not to give them power, but to expose them so we can create your new paradigm. So I'm going to go grab my power cord. Paula, I'm going to let you write down a few of those. If you're watching the recording, you can also write them down so that you can get the new paradigm piece in here. Okay, I'll be right back. Such a fun thing. My cat chased me with my cord all the way up here. Okay, power cord is going in. And then Paula, we are going to talk about limiting beliefs. Ooh. Okay. So I will stop sharing that page. I'm going to reopen. Actually, no, I won't bother. We'll just talk through it. Okay. So what's a limiting belief, Paul, that came up for you?
I'm too old.
Huh.
Yeah. That one pretty much covered the whole breed that I took. Like I waffle on that. I find myself, it emerges and reemerges often, which is a fear. So then that's the opportunity. I know it's in my head. Just one moment, please.
So Paula's son is home and she's multitasking.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, so that, and it's funny because you're very quick to kind of pull it down to the one thing, right? Like you took your 6 guidelines or wisdoms very quickly down to your 3.
Yeah.
And so what will happen for everyone is there'll be a list of them. It'll be like the ones I suggested. It'll be other things like, it might even be like, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. Will people really believe me? I managed to like mess things up. I won't be supportive. I won't have enough time. They'll figure out I'm a fraud. Do I really have enough education for this? And so a big list will form. Or I hate cold calling. The only way I can do this is with technology and I suck at it. And so this big list will form.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I encourage you to do is to look at the big list and to ask yourself, which one of these do I really need to flip, to change so that I can have more success this year?
Mm-hmm.
And if it is something that had to do with something in the past or something you feel like you've already worked through, or it doesn't have that much power over you, then you leave it behind. Don't worry about it. Don't focus on it. We're just going to pick one thing. Now, when I have done this over the years, so I've done it 8 years in a row, I've done this with other people. And what I found is the number one limiting belief when we boil it down, like, well, what's the cause of that? And what's the cause of that? And what's important about that? And it all boils down to kind of the false truth, the falseness here is I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
From all the years I've been doing this, I'm not enough is the number one limiting belief. Mm-hmm. And we could think you're feeling not enough because other people make you feel bad because of your age.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we're going to keep with this age one because it's so powerful for you. But I want everyone to kind of pick the one that is most powerful for them. And it's funny because I've stayed away from Brené Brown's work because when I first started coaching, people are like, oh my gosh, you sound like Brené Brown. I don't have a Southern accent, but whatever. But they're like, the things you teach are Brené Brown. And so on purpose, while I've been writing my books and creating my programs, I have not listened to a single book of hers, a single talk, have read nothing. So I knew nothing about her until last year when I'm like, you know what? I'm established. I've got everything created. I'm good. Now I'm going to open my world to Brené Brown. And one of the first things that she taught was through her decades of research, like legit research, not just me running this program and finding it out. But the number one limiting belief is I'm not enough. And so that might come up for you, and that's okay. And even in confident people, successful people, I'm not enough is still an underlying theme. So I just wanted to kind of put out there. You're also, maybe if you're not looking for the one thing that like jumps out at you, there might be a pattern with things that happens. So Paul has already narrowed it down very quickly here, which is great for us as an example. To move forward with it. So the age thing. Yeah. So what is the limiting belief again? Say it to us one more time.
That I'm just too old.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
And what does that say about you? What does that mean about you? So I'm too old. So
I don't know. I can't change. I can't be different than what I was. Yeah. I think that's what, maybe that is the place is I was very successful in my previous career.
Mm-hmm.
I've retired, made this choice now to embrace myself with a new education, new direction, following my passions. And yet this niggling, I'm too old.
Yeah. I'm too old to be successful.
Yeah. I'm too old to be successful in a new field. I'm too old to, and I get angry I'm just repeatedly saying it. I can feel like I'm not, the youth inside of me is screaming, no, you're not.
Yes.
And it's just, it's a mindset, right?
Yes.
I sometimes shock myself looking in the mirror like, whoa, who the heck is that? Because I don't feel that way, but yet I do carry this mantle with me, and I think it's I pick it up. I'm not. It's not always someone giving it to me. I think maybe I grab it before it can get given to me.
Oh, some insight there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So asking yourself, everyone asking yourself, is this a limiting belief given to you, or you put on yourself, or a combination of the two?
Yeah. Yeah. Defensive, really. I'll put it on before you give it to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the new paradigm is going to be a flip of this. It's going to be a statement that will help you to be empowered rather than to feel like this is limiting you. Okay. So when you think of, I am old, I can't be where I was before, this kind of thing, it deflates you, I'm hearing. It really is saying your worth or lack of. It compares. So what we want to do is flip that into a positive statement.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea, as you know, as I scale my business in the past few years and become more in the public eye, people have things they want to say, and it's not always the truth. It's one of those, you know, poppy syndrome sort of things. They're doing whatever they can to cut you down, or jealousy or whatever. However, words impact me. And so hearing the words of others made me feel not enough, made me feel like I was maybe doing the wrong things, or that I couldn't live up to what I was putting out there. Even though I knew the fact that, no, I'm killing it, I'm doing well, I'm moving forward, it's all this good stuff, I do good work in the world. Even though I know all that, there was still a little bit of me that was hurting from it by what other people were saying. Even though I know new level, new devil, every time you get to a new level of success, right? So I knew all of that, but it still had power over me. So my statement was, I own the truth of who I am. So my new paradigm was, I own the truth of who I am. And I said it really kind of like pissed off, like, no, I own the truth of who I am. So anytime I felt either it was a true, like other people saying something, or from me, I was thinking, well, what will they think? What will they say? I would say, you know what? Doesn't matter. I own the truth of who I am. And if I can be in that place of I'm proud of myself and I'm happy with myself and I'm doing things according to, in alignment with my values and my priorities, and I'm in integrity, it doesn't matter. I own the truth of who I am. And so that was powerful for me. Then last year, it was about really jumping into this next place in life. And I felt like maybe I was playing a bit too small. And playing small was secure, right? And playing small. And so my paradigm was, I leap into my bigger self. So that word leap for me was really powerful. I leap into my bigger self. So it wasn't that like I have to become a new person. It wasn't that I wasn't enough. It was just I leap into my bigger self. So I don't just choose it, but I'm actually like purposely doing it with some energy and force. And so I leap into my bigger self. Also, like you can tell physically, I'm doing this action, right? That forward momentum. And so my paradigm last year was I leap into my bigger self.
That's good.
Yeah. So these are just two examples of paradigms. I don't have written down the paradigms that other people had, though I will be getting them from them, just to kind of give you an idea. So where can we put a new paradigm on this old paradigm for you, Paula?
Yeah. Well, obviously what you just said was really powerful to me, and I did want to copy them, but I think I need to it is about pulling who I am out. Yeah. It really is. I mean, we all look a certain way. We all have this or that or whatever. But it's really, our body is just a shell, and it is really about showing who I am by pulling it out, right? Like, just pull it out. Who cares? My hair is gray, whatever. It doesn't matter, right?
So I like those words. I'm pulling out and I'm showing.
Yeah.
So is this, I'm pulling out my true self, I'm pulling out my skills and talents, I'm pulling out who I was meant to be. What are you pulling? Like, what are you pulling out?
I'm pulling out my me. And my me is that I like to dance with ideas. I like to face down fear. I like to do things that people don't necessarily expect me to do. And that's who I am.
I am pulling out the real me, fullest me, truest me.
Yeah.
What lands for you?
The powerful me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pulling out the powerful me.
I'm pulling out the powerful me. Do you need the show part?
I don't know.
So if you did the show, now it could be together. I'm pulling out and showing the world the powerful me. Or it could be pulling out the powerful me. Or it could be I'm pulling out the powerful me and showing.
Yeah.
Showing something.
Yeah.
How great I am.
Yeah. I'm pulling out the powerful me. I'm showing the powerful me. I'm bringing the powerful me to show the world.
So is it I'm bringing?
No, it's more like that feeling of arm in arm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
let's pulling, bringing, unlocking, uncovering, unleashing.
Yeah. I think it's unleashing right there.
Yeah.
Unleashing the powerful me.
I'm unleashing the powerful me. So anytime there's a moment where it's like, oh, old, or look at the gray hair or whatever, you're like, whatever, I'm unleashing the powerful me.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's that feel?
That feels good.
Fantastic.
Whew.
Yeah. So it can be a bit of a process to come up with a new paradigm. But for those watching the recording, because you don't have me there right with you, write down the limiting beliefs, pick one that either just jumps out for you or a pattern that you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Then think, how can I flip this into a positive statement rather than a negative one? Mm-hmm. And if you've hit it, you'll either feel scared to say it, mm-hmm. like, oh, can I really say I'm unleashing the powerful me? Oh, man. And so you want to either like gulp, like, oh, can I really say that? Or you want to have it be so like there that it almost makes you cry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm at the cry side. Yeah. When I said it, I felt it tingle. Like, it's that body tingle you can sometimes get. Yeah. And that was,
that is awesome. Awesome. So happy for you, Paula. So now you've got guidelines. Then we've gone through the goals. You've got your new paradigm. And then the last piece is just around theme. And theme will show itself by going through this process. So it's like, what is the one thing you need the most in 2020? What is the one feeling, the one idea that you want to go through the year? So to just give you an idea, mine last year was intimacy. Intimacy with myself, intimacy with like my clients, intimacy with my partner, with my children, with God, like intimacy completely. And then it was funny because when I told someone that spoke about intimacy, she says, do you know that intimacy is really into me see? Then I was like, what? Like, that's amazing. And so one word will do it. And so for Dawn, maybe release is her one theme word. A lot of people will choose like very dynamic, pushing, like forceful words. But you can also choose more grounded, calm words. Like you can choose peace. You can choose grounded. You can choose present, like being present or presence. It doesn't have to be a word that sounds tiring. I just want everyone to know it doesn't have to be this big, like release is a pretty calm word. Connection could be it. Intimacy for me, that was scary because I'm quite the like strong, confident, powerful, loud, pushy kind of person. And so the idea of like intimacy and slowing down and being with was a little scary for me. So, Paula, for you, do you have an idea of what your theme is?
No, I mean, there's a lot of words that fly through my head. Some of them are like brave, right? But what resonates is when you said peaceful words, calm words. And I think that's where I want to start. That feels right in my gut. And so I think, I don't know, is it acceptance? Is it?
Maybe it's grace.
Yeah, maybe it's grace for myself, give myself grace and everything I do around me, with my family, with, yeah, it could be something like that.
So some of the words, we've had recently from people was courage, fearless, calm, soar. So like soaring. Yeah. So it can be anything, but the word must make sense to you. It must land for you, just like the guidelines should land for you. Yeah. The paradigm should land. Everything by land, I mean, it should kind of like hit you in a powerful way, in a way that makes you feel grounded or a little bit nervous because it's that pushing you a little bit out of your comfort zone, or it is so in alignment with your soul that you want to cry. Right? So make sure that these words do something for you, or they get you really excited, like super excited that you're like, yeah, like the word might be badass. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's a theme for you. Adjectives are usually, good ones to use, or nouns, like peace, love, or adjectives around like courage, courageous, these kind of words. Keep it to one word.
Yeah.
One word. So I'm speaking kind of to everyone. I'm just seeing if there's any other things. So I'm just pulling off of one of my old vision boards that's on the wall. Maybe a word like rising.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Or fabulous. Or gratitude. Magic. And I was saying like one word, but even I've just seen something else. Eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Like that could be a powerful thing for you. So just kind of sit with it for anyone who's like, I don't know what it is. Go back through all your accomplishments, your disappointments. Go back through all the learning. Maybe there's a pattern in there and you didn't use it as a guideline. Like I said, words kept coming up over the day that I kept noticing. Hey, the word fear keeps coming up for you. The word around self-love keeps coming up for you. Maybe you need to do something with this, or maybe it's a guideline that got missed, a guideline that you were like, I don't know if that'll work, but there's something there that you didn't want to let go of it. So for some of you, you made 4 guidelines rather than 3. So go and see, maybe one of the guidelines could be changed into, just like for Dawn, who now potentially has release as her theme for the year. And then that theme is just going to help to guide you. Now I am going to send you this. I'll see if I can just pull it up quickly. I'll admit I don't have the best computer organizing things, but I think I made it 2020 template. I've sent it out, or I will be sending it out to you. I'm going to do it by date and just see what comes up. 2020 plan. I just want to show it to you so I can kind of talk you through it, because I didn't get to. Here. Let's see. There we go. Just going to make it a bit smaller so when I share my screen, you can actually see it. So I will send this out to you. Let me click share and then we'll wrap up. Here we go. So your name goes in here. This is your 2020 plan. This is all fillable. You can put your theme in here, your 3 guidelines. And you see there's not a lot of space because they're clear and concise. They're not long. Your new paradigm goes right in the middle here because that's, everything is going to be pulled around it. Your values, and as I said, you can do for $97, you can do a peak experience session with me, which will pull out your values. And from that, you can choose your 3 values for the year. You don't want to focus on all of your 10, 12 values for the year. You can focus on 3 that are going to mean the most. The 3 values will probably help you to achieve your goals and your guidelines. And then here you want to create living goals. And what I mean by living goals is goals that are alive, are written down. They're not passive. They're actually written down, and you look at them, you review them. And so that's where this whole page is going to come in handy in these quarterly calls. So in here, you write in, what is your goal? How will you do it? And by when, right? It has to be a SMART goal. So I put many little spots here because maybe the goal is, has many steps to it, right? Write a book. And so maybe you start the first step, the second step, the third step, and the 4th step. You put some information in here, and then goal 2 and goal 3. I did include a goal 4, but if you are not going to have 4 goals, I encourage you actually to only pick your 3, but I know some of you will pick 4. If you're not going to, just highlight this all and delete the column. Okay, highlight, right click, delete column, in case you aren't a big word buff. Okay, that will give you your whole page. And if you use this as put it up on your wall, continue to refer to it. This should be your compass for the whole year. That's what it'll do for you. And then at the, what we'll also do on the quarterly calls is we're going to start to score these and get a score for them every single time, because otherwise it's not tangible. You're not going to be able to know how well you're doing. And you're going to be, accountable. You're going to know, oh my gosh, in 4 weeks, I'm getting on this call. Maybe I should actually do something about my goals. Maybe I should actually see where I'm plugging in using my new paradigm. And I need to be looking at my guidelines and using them. And so on the calls, I'll also be sharing how to do that, how to score it. We'll do a check-in. How's everyone doing with this? Any questions? Maybe your paradigm isn't working for you, and so I help you craft a new one. Or maybe you're like, I don't know how to use my guidelines, and so I show you. Or you're feeling off and you don't know how, and I pivot you back, push you back to focus on your values. And I'm like, where are you honoring your values? And you're like, I don't even know what that means. And then I help you. We'll figure that out. So that's an opportunity. Again, the 197 or 199, I don't know, you'll get an email about it. That's that opportunity there. And the reason why I started offering these calls, because I didn't do that before, was because I just trusted that everyone would be using these things. And what happens is they'll go, oh, right, I did that with you, right. And I'll say, how's your guideline of accountability brings focus? How's that going for you? And they're like, oh. Or I'll be like, what were your guidelines again? And they'll go, I don't know. And that's why I have copies of the guidelines. So please send me your guidelines. You can actually, if you fill in that full page paper, you can send that to me. And then that's a real easy way for me to see everything about it. And I know that there's already been some questions about like, well, what next, Diane? How do we work with you if we want to work one-on-one? So the peak experience session is a one-on-one for the values. That's an opportunity. Otherwise, if you are looking for how to work with me one-on-one, please reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. So if you emailed me about that, I'll email you back and we'll kind of get moving on that. I do have an elite coaching program, which goes throughout the whole year, where you get one-on-one with me, one-on-one calls with me, a VIP day. You also get masterminding days with other people. You get every program I've ever made. And so if that's an opportunity that you're like, oh, that sounds good, then that we can talk about that as well. So I just encourage you all to reach out to me in whatever capacity you feel is a good fit. And so now at this point, you have guidelines, paradigm, theme, and you know how to make your goals, right? You make your goals based on the wheel of life, not just based on sounds good, I'll do that. And the no pressure of just 3 goals, just 3 goals. You'll probably achieve 20 goals, but just pick 3 and focus on that. And you've got that one paper, which I'll send out in an email. So if you don't get the emails, let me know, because I know we've had some email issues. I'm doing my due diligence on my end and double checking that people are getting things. But if you are not opening them, I can't force you to open them. So they might end up in your junk mail or somewhere else. So make sure you get that covered. Okay. Any questions, Paula, since you're my, you're representing the whole group?
No, thank you very much, Diane. Really helpful. Really, really helpful.
Good. I am glad. And thank you for being committed on all these calls. I know that some people just, they work during the day and they can't make it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, Paula, for even today when you had to go pick up your son, that you messaged me and said that you'd be on a little bit later. So good job committing to your journey. And for everyone else who's watching the recording, you can also commit to your journey by just completing what I've given you. Okay. So I trust that this is going to help you to have a strong foundation for 2020. Enjoy this. And the greatest gift that you can give to yourself is to actually apply all of this and keep it alive during the year. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.